حي على الفلاح.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said in a hadith collected by Imam al-Tirmidhi, who said the hadith is authentic. 3 things. And each of the pieces of advice are linked to each other in an amazing way. Number 1, he said, be cautious of Allah wherever you may be. Number 2, follow up a mistake with a good deed because it will wipe it out. And number 3, behave with people with excellent conduct. 3 short, profound pieces of advice, all given to us in one statement. What does it all mean? Let us look at the first piece of advice. Have taqwa of Allah, which means to be cautious and to protect yourself. Shield and protect yourself from Allah, meaning from the punishment and the anger of Allah, by holding back on impulse when your impulse is telling you to do something that is going to displease Allah. When you have a desire to do something that you know will anger Allah and you say no, you say I'm not going to do it, I'm going to control myself, that is taqwa. And by doing it, do you place a shield between you and the punishment of Allah? Wherever you may be. You see, brothers and sisters, you are now in the masjid. It is very easy to be on your best behavior because you are in the house of Allah. But do you behave the same when you are all alone by yourself in the middle of the night? Are you the same when you're with your family like you are when you're with your friends? Do you speak in the same way? There may be a huge difference. But the Prophet ﷺ is saying, no, don't be two-faced in life. Fear Allah, be mindful of Allah wherever you are. Amongst friends, amongst family, amongst religious people, even when you're by yourself. Because it's very easy to behave well when you're at work. But you may lose your job. But when you're by yourself, then you have a foul mouth. You watch filthy things. But you would never do that if somebody was watching over your shoulder. But you know what, if you think about it, that is what a hypocrite is like, isn't it? He pretends to be a Muslim. He lies. He says, I'm a Muslim in front of people. He prays. He fasts. He behaves well. But when he's all by himself, it's another story. There's a different character that emerges. Don't be like that. That is what the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us. Imam al-Shafi'i, he would say that the great achievements in life are 3. Number 1, it is to be generous when you don't have much money to your name. You see, if you're a rich man and you give some poor person some money, it's good. But when you're poor and you see a poor person and then you help them out, Imam al-Shafi'i is saying that is a great achievement. Number 2, it is to speak the truth to someone when you have something to lose, just like if you had something to gain. That if you say a piece of advice to someone and they have the power to ruin your life, but you say it all the same as if you had something to gain, he's saying that is a great achievement, because now you fear no one except Allah. Number 3, he said it is to fear Allah when you're all by yourself. That is what it means to have taqwa of Allah. The second piece of advice, and he said when you make a mistake, then follow it up with a good deed because it would erase it. Now look at the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ. The expectation, brothers and sisters, is not that you become angels. The expectation is that you try your best, but you will make mistakes. What do you do when you make a mistake? He is saying, do a good deed after you make a mistake. Because you know why? It has the power to erase and to delete, as if you never did it in the first place. Look at the mercy of Allah. You cannot even treat people like this. You know the saying, I can forgive but I can't forget, isn't it? The Prophet is saying it will be as if it is forgotten. You never even made the mistake. But the scholars here, they say it doesn't mean every sin. Some sins you cannot make up for them by just doing a good deed. Like, for example, if you wrong another person, if you cheat someone, if you bully someone, if you defraud someone, if you oppress someone, you can't just do a good deed like an act of charity and think it's all forgotten about. No. For those sins, you must seek the person's forgiveness. A second type are the major sins. If someone commits zina or riba, may Allah protect us from falling into them again. But if you do a major sin, you must put your hands together and ask Allah to forgive you. You must show Allah that you are sorry. But every other sin, if you did it, all you have to do is do a good deed afterwards, and it is as if you never did it. Subhanallah. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in a hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he gave us a tip. He said that there is no slave that when he makes a mistake, he does his wudu properly. Then he stands up and prays 2 rak'ah and says, Allah forgive me, except that Allah forgives him. Subhanallah. How easy it is to get the forgiveness of Allah. It is as if Allah wants you to be forgiven. Allah doesn't want to punish you. Allah says in the Quran, what am I going to get out of punishing you? Subhanallah. If only you would show some gratitude and have some faith. Even our father Adam alayhi salam, a prophet of Allah, didn't he make a mistake? Yes, he did. But what was his response? Oh, our master, we have wronged ourselves. If you don't forgive us, if you don't have mercy on us, we will be of the losers, Allah. This is the lesson we learn from our own father, that if he can make a mistake, so too will we. But how do we respond in times of our mistakes? Do we turn back to Allah? Do we ask Allah to forgive us? Or are we in denial of our sins? Don't be like Iblis. When Allah said to him, why didn't you bow down to Adam? What did he say? He said, I'm better than him. You made me out of fire. You made him out of soil. I'm better than him. Why should I have to submit myself to this command? Subhanallah. The last part of the advice, he said, and be with people with excellent behavior. Muslim, non-Muslim, even the creatures of Allah. They think they can be good Muslims just by praying 5 times a day and fasting in Ramadan. But when it comes to their business practices, when it comes to the way they treat their families, when it comes to the way they play football with their friends, it's a completely different story. And it is shocking, subhanallah. Ibn Rajab said that part of taqwa of Allah is having good manners with people. So if you don't have good manners with the people in your life, that means you're not a good Muslim. That means you don't have taqwa of Allah. That is what it means. You know, I have had people come to me and tell me that they do not want to do business with Muslims. Why? Because they say, I've been cheated by Muslims. I've been lied to by Muslims. And I don't want to do business with them anymore. And you know what? He's not the only person. Why is that the case, subhanallah? That Muslims cannot be trusted on their word. Subhanallah, our Prophet, even before becoming a Prophet, he was known as As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the trustworthy man, the honest man. And we are the followers of him. And we cannot be trusted on our word in business. Shame on us, brothers and sisters. I have met brothers, big beards, mashallah. They may pray in the front row, but when you see them play football, la ilaha illallah, effing and blinding, all types of foul language coming out of their mouths. Even the non-Muslims playing on the next pitch are thinking, man, these guys take it seriously. Swearing, slide tackling, aggressive behavior, anything. Subhanallah, you are the same brother who prays in the front row in the masjid, yet on the football pitch, you turn into the Incredible Hulk. Subhanallah, a few months ago, a friend of mine told me that he had a car crash. Alhamdulillah, it wasn't serious. Somebody hit him on the back of the car from behind. He got out of the car. Who was driving the car? A Maulana sir. A man with a topi and a shalwar kameez and a beard. And he thought to himself, you know what, this uncle, I feel sorry for him. So he said to me, no, I'm not going to make any claim, uncle. It's fine, don't worry about it. It's only a scratch. The uncle said, thank you very much. After 2 weeks, he receives a letter in the post, my friend. The uncle is making a claim for the car and for whiplash. Can you believe it? Subhanallah, this person does not fear Allah. What is happening in his mind? He is cheating people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever cheats us, he's not from my community. I don't want anything to do with this man. But here you have a bearded person who prays probably 5 times a day. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with making a false claim through insurance. This is delusion, my brothers and sisters. Imagine a brother, when you meet him, he smiles in your face, just like the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He speaks to you with sweet words. He offers to do things for you. But the moment he goes home to his wife, he turns into what can only be described as an animal, speaking in the most obnoxious and rude way to his wife, that the people we are the worst to happens to be our own family members. Is this not a tragedy? How far have we come from the teachings of our Prophet ﷺ? It cannot go on like this. We must listen to the advice of our Prophet ﷺ. How is it that there are non-Muslims that outshine us in good behavior? How is that the case? When our Prophet ﷺ, he said, I was sent to perfect good manners, so that my followers will be looked up to in society. Man, these people, their morals, their ethics, second to none. I wish I could be a Muslim. May Allah make us like that, my brothers and sisters.